August 1973. Behind a reinforced door labeled classified, a government program breathed in secrecy, assembling scientists, psychics, and machines to touch the impossible and beyond. They called it Project Stargate on paper, an innocuous name for a program mapping minds to distant places and images beyond known explanation and mystery. Footage now declassified shows grainy recordings of sessions, tape hiss, a scientist's hand trembling as coordinates were read aloud into silence, and nobody blinked once. We reconstructed the audio and images with care. This is not a horror film, but a record of experiments that frayed the edges of reason. A former analyst remembers, "We saw places that did not belong to any map. We saw being looked back at us then in the darkness." This film takes you through the sessions, the tapes, the notebooks labeled forbidden. It follows a trail of images that would not be explained fully. At Fort Meade and other sites, long tables held Polaroids, maps, and cigarette ash. Scientists argued about methodology and results deep into late nights often. They recruited men and women who claimed an ability to see distant locations, while blindfolded and seated before a bank of tape recorders and silence. Targets were chosen at random. A Soviet missile silo, a deserted farmhouse, a laboratory room. The viewers described shapes, heat, and a persistent odor always. Some sessions produced mundane hits, but others yielded impossible detail. A child's toy left under rubble, a red stain on concrete, a whisper of singing always. One viewer, codenamed Blue 9, described a room that did not exist on any floor plan, with shadows moving against physics and then silence. Researchers logged contradictions, then buried them in folders stamped classified. Yet tapes survived, and witnesses kept private notebooks with trembling ink. Years later they spoke. We play now a fragment from 1974. Listen as a viewer searches for coordinates and names a place called the Hollow he has never visited. He says, "There is a metal smell. Lights like bees. A small door with scratches in the wood." The description unnerved the room. A scientist flips pages of a notebook and murmurs, "Look at the dates. The drawings predate known surveillance photographs by months, and nobody could explain." Some viewers suffered after sessions. Insomnia, claims of static in their bones, and recurring dreams where rooms folded into themselves like paper over and over. One account speaks of a voice that answered back, not language but pattern, a cadence that taught viewers to point at things unseen and listen. In interviews, participants ask why the program continued despite clear harm. The answer always returned to national security and fear of exposure. In 1975, a harried officer ordered tapes sealed. The memo read, "Containment required. Do not release." A ledger marked forbidden grew heavier and colder still. A declassified transcript shows a scientist reading numbers, then a viewer screams. Silence fills the room and documents vanish without trace for reasons still unknown. Some investigators blamed suggestion and group dynamics. Others suspected unknown interactive fields. Arguments ended in memos stamped "Do not discuss." The secrecy only deepened overnight. A family member of a viewer later reported late-night calls, a voice on the line describing images that matched classified target files exactly and unnerved. An internal audit recommended shutting the program. Leadership hesitated, citing geopolitical uncertainty and a belief that knowledge itself might be weaponized, but it carried on. Files were relocated, names redacted, and a few brave witnesses signed non-disclosure agreements that tasted like final confessions, and their nightmares returned every night still. Years passed. Project Stargate faded from headlines, but the recordings stayed hidden in vaults, labeled the forbidden records and left to rot in bureaucracy silently. In the 90s, a journalist found a box of tapes. The sound was brittle, the voices were tired and oddly precise about landscapes of ruin. He played a tape in a parking garage and recorded the playback on a handheld device. Listeners described physical reactions like vertigo and bad dreams. One clip captures a viewer locating what he calls a thread, a narrow corridor of memory that linked places across nations and times without explanation ever. The journalist published a piece that stirred curiosity, but also threats. Anonymous letters arrived demanding the tapes be destroyed and silence maintained for national security. Today, fragments circulate on the internet, grainy and looped. Some listeners swear they can hear something beneath the noise, a cadence that never resolves ever.